All right, live pictures on your screen right now in Minneapolis on the scene of the Annunciation Church and Catholic School where there has been a shooting this morning just after school started. This is the first week of school. This is what we have, the latest from the city of Minneapolis, that it is an active police situation. However, there is no active threat to the community at this time. The shooter is contained. They go on to say, stay away from this area to allow emergency personnel to help victims. If you're in this area, this is 54th Street between Lyndale and Nicollet Avenue. The families of the children at this school, this is a K through 8th school, Annunciation Church and Catholic School, are being told to go to a reunification zone at the Annunciation School. That's 525 West 54th Street. It doesn't look like a chaotic scene at this point. Law enforcement have the area cordoned off around the school. That's the church on the left where you can see the taller part of the building. Again, the shooter, they say, is contained. The mayor of Minneapolis saying this is a horrific act of violence, and emergency response teams have now been activated along with the ATF and the FBI. We don't have reports of casualties, but based on what we're seeing from some of the comments from the mayor and the governor, it is likely there will be some. Joining us now, Josh Skule. He is the CEO of Bow Wave LLC, former senior executive of the FBI. I know it's early, but walk me through securing a scene like this after a shooting at a church school.
Well, first of all, it's a horrific scene. The first thing the law enforcement is going to do is make sure that the shooting stops, which in this instance it has. They want to make sure that after the scene is secured, which means that there's no more threat to violence to the immediate area, that paramedics and other responders can get to the aid of those that have been injured. That's the first step. The second step is to then make sure that as was reported, that they find the shooter and make sure that there's no further threat to the community.
So they're going to do two things. One is attend to any victims and their injuries, and two, try to gather evidence. How do they do so in coordination with one another?
Well, first is to make sure that the victims are taken care of. That's first and foremost. And then they will begin to collect the evidence, which will include any cell phones from any of the older children or the teachers, and video cameras, certainly the shell casings, anything that could lead them to understanding better why this happened, and then preserve that for prosecution. So it's really first is attend to the victims and then collect the evidence.
I immediately look at the school and I think of any church or church/school that I've been to. There's not a lot of security. These are open, welcome places. What are your thoughts on that in terms of layers of security, unlike another school that would have probably more bolstered security?
Well, I think it really depends on the area and the school, to be honest with you. I don't think that there are a lot of grade schools that have high levels of security, so they're pretty vulnerable. This is unfortunately what we are dealing with in our society today, and what we will learn as the investigation goes on is what triggered this individual to commit such a horrific act. I think folks lashing out with violence seems to be more normal today, which is a real problem for our society. Too many folks with mental health issues have access to weapons.
I want to pass along more information as we're hearing from people, including out of Washington, D.C. We don't have a lot of details on casualties here, but the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, says she is monitoring this horrific situation at the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis. She says we are in communication with our interagency partners and will share information as soon as it becomes available. She goes on to say she's praying for the victims of this heinous act and their families. Josh, who takes the lead on an investigation like this? So we see multiple agencies there. Who's calling the plays right now?
Right now, it'll be the local police department is calling the play, is really the lead. But it is not so formal as that. The federal agencies that are already on scene, the FBI and the ATF, are there to support and provide additional resources. But this is a local crime. Shootings are a local crime with support from all the surrounding agencies. I believe the state police is on site as well. Sometimes that'll transition, but in the heat of the moment, right now, the first and foremost is to make sure the victims are taken care of, the shooters in custody, and those law enforcement writ large resources are aiding that local agency to make sure that that happens.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.